Hello friends, welcome back to Super Coaching UPSC by Textbook. This is Venkatesh, your faculty for Geography. In this session, I'll be discussing about a very important topic by name the solar energy potential in India. And if you have seen in the recent budget as well, there is a renewed focus once again on solar energy. The trend continues. You have seen that government is coming up with new schemes associated with solar energy, say the rooftop solar energy in the recent times. So with this focus, with these things in focus, let us understand how to study about the solar energy in India from the perspective of geography and from the perspective of questions what can be asked in the upcoming prelims 2024. Say example, if you have seen the recent one, there is a talk about the as part of the interim budget 2024. There is a talk about rooftop solarization, where 1 crore households will be enabled to obtain up to 300 units free electricity every month. So there are some kind of talks which are and there is a scheme which is brought forward by the government, presently focusing on rooftop energy and all, rooftop solarization and all. That means recently, if you have seen the last few years prelims exam, see, one of the thing I'm always trying to tell you, there is always some kind of trends which can be seen as you observe the newspapers and as also if you see the latest question papers of UPSC exam. Okay, so example, try to answer this question which was asked in the last few years. I will try to connect this with this topic today. Try to answer this question. Let me see what you are writing in the comments. Okay, so try to answer, put it in the comments. Yes, Gayatri, good afternoon. Right, if you see, there was a question asked about net metering before last year, few years ago, in the prelims of UPSC. If you see this, net metering is sometimes seen in the news in the context of promoting what? Production and use of solar energy by the households or the consumers. So you can produce and use the solar energy, and if there is excess, you can also sell. Can you sell power? Can you be the, what you say, energypreneur? Just like an entrepreneur, you can also be an energypreneur, right? So this is, yes, you can actually sell it. So this is the meaning of net metering, is sometimes seen in the news in the context of promoting what? The production and use of solar energy by the households and consumers. So, right. So when you know that this is the trend which is happening, you have to see that that is a trend which is also continuing now. Now government is trying to incentivize through various schemes, right? Whether it is the central government in general in focus now, or else is the state governments, or else even the public sector units, by bringing the whole ecosystem of the government enterprises together, we are actually trying to promote the use of electricity in India. So we need to have some kind of numbers clear about that. If you see the total potential in India, let us understand about the total solar potential in India, right? If you see the solar potential completely in India, there is a total capacity of around 748 gigawatt. 748 gigawatt potential, right? So this is the total potential which you are trying to do, and this is one which is provided with the data. You can see here, NICE, okay, National Institute of Solar Energy. I would advise you to go to the website of National Institute of Solar Energy, read about what is the content given there, understand the things. Sometimes you going into the sources of government enterprises and reading, it becomes very, very critical, because you'll get a perspective out of that, right? So the National Institute of Solar Energy, which is part of the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, which takes about the renewable energy in India. Renewable energy is having a significant focus. You can see this is the potential in our country. Now, when you talk about this potential in this way, understand how do you have the potential variations across different states? Don't we have variations of solar energy in India? Definitely yes. Let us bring back some kind of geographical thought process to it. If you see this, Rajasthan and Gujarat, can I say that they are dry regions? When you are having dry regions, it also indicates that rainfall would be lesser. So rainfall would be lesser. When you say that rainfall is lesser, that means what? It means that the cloud formations and all would be very, very less. So that means there is clear skies. So when you have clear skies, there is less transparency of the atmosphere is more transparent, and that way you can find more potential of solar energy. So that is the thing. So the variations of solar, you can see this is very, very high. The amount of potential in solar energy from Rajasthan, Gujarat is very high. And when you see this variation from a state like you see Kerala, you can see here, the more the darker red, it indicates about more potential. And you can see here the states of northeastern states, certain states towards Himalayan states, certain states even in Kerala, you see the potential is very, very less. Why? Kerala potential is less because you have significant monsoon in significant monsoonal months for Kerala. When you see Kerala has so much amount of significant monsoonal months, definitely you will find that the potential for solar energy is very, very less. And when you go to the Himalayan states in general, you can see that Himalayan states with the altitude variations and all, with the cloud formations, topographical features, you'll find once again there is a huge challenge. But that is not the case with regions like Ladakh. Why? Simple. Region Ladakh is Ladakh, if you see, I would say that it is crossing the Shivalik, Pir Panjal ranges, the lesser Himalayas, the greater Himalayas, and it is on the other side. So usually it's a region which is not having any kind of rainfall. It's a dry region. Remember Ladakh, we say cold desert. So when you find less amount of rainfall, more amount of more amount of climatological, from the climatological point of view, it's a clear skies, more transparency of the atmosphere. Don't you find more potential here? That is the potential. If you see the potential of India, 748, and if you see the local variations, you see the Rajasthan potential, you see 142.31 gigawatt is the potential. Jammu and Kashmir stands next, 111.05. And you see here, you don't find the states like, which states are you finding more here? The potential you are finding more from the dry regions, whether it is the Rann of Kutch in Gujarat, the Marusthali region of Rajasthan. I think if you can talk about the exact words here, right? This is what we call is the Marusthali region of Rajasthan, the sand dune region. This is the Rann of Kutch, the Saurashtra. You can talk about the Deccan Plateau, the rain shadow region of Western Ghats. This is all the region of the lesser rainfall regions, the rain shadow of region Western Ghats. And in general, as you move south, you are nearer to the tropical, definitely you will be having more potential of solar energy. These are the places where we can increase our solar energy potential. Are you able to follow this, all of you? Are you able to follow this? Right? So, Rajasthan, Jammu and Kashmir, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, Gujarat, Himachal Pradesh, you see here the states generally dominated with respect to lesser rainfall and nearer to the equator, not having much elevations in terms of topography, are the ones which you are concentrating about solar energy, right? That is a thing. Okay. So these are the areas where you are concentrating. Then when you talk about the other things, for example, if you see the potential, let me talk about the remaining things before that. There is some kind of data which you always need to have with yourself. So one such data with respect to potential in India is what I am trying to put it here. So India's geographical area receives about almost around 5,000 trillion kilowatt per hour of solar energy each year. How much it is? Almost around 5,000 trillion kilowatt of solar energy each year, where certain areas are receiving 4 to 7 kilowatt hour per square meter per day. So there is a huge in terms of the potential of the solar energy, we still haven't yet reached. We have still in the nascent stage. See, when talking about 748 gigawatt, understand what is the present capacity. The present capacity of India is just around 73.32 gigawatt at the end of 2023. So it is around 70 gigawatt. Okay, there might be some variations. As per the installed present capacity, it is only around 70 gigawatt. Now you see the variation from 70 gigawatt, we are almost having a variation of, right? We are having a variation of potential of 748. Just a minute. Let me see if you have any doubts. Yeah. Okay. So if you have around, this is the difference we had. Then when you talk about the potential, the growth, there is much more higher potential. Also, you need to know that the 748 gigawatt potential is mostly in the dry lands of India, where there is not much amount of usage, where you are assuming the solar photovoltaic modules every 3% of the geographical surface. And these are the areas where you will be developing the solar parks. Remember, one concern about solar energy is to generate around energy from the solar parks, from the solar parks and all. We need huge land. The demand for land for generation of solar energy is quite high. So it depends. It consumes more land. That is the reason why government is also focusing on going beyond this land, be it on the, for example, on the irrigation canals, be it on the areas where there is around some kind of government areas, like the railway tracks. We are trying to identify certain new places because the demand for land is all excuse me, the demand for land is always higher here, right? So that is the thing. Okay, so there's a significant this is the thing which you need to remember. Also, you see that when you talk about potential from India, you need to write about these things. India is a perfect location for solar energy because of its geographical location. Say almost 300 days of sunshine each year. What is the geographical location? Most of the India is called as a what? Tropical to a subtropical country. When you call India as a tropical to subtropical country for a dominant portion of the land, definitely it is a huge potential for solar energy. That is what we call it as Suryaputtar country, right? Then also you see that one advantage of solar energy utilization is peak electricity use is in the evening rather than during the day. This actually facilitates our tapping the solar energy during the day and use it in the evenings, right? Also, you see that a seasonal peak is in the summer, where you find more amount of sunlight. So such kind of things, despite the general country is having a favorable location, there are certain areas which are having more potential. That is the reason why we are actually focusing more on solar energy, right? So what are the points I have mentioned with respect to geographical things here in terms of potential? One, you can talk about the dry areas. Okay, what are the points I have written? Okay, it's about the atmospheric transparency of atmosphere. I have linked the concept of transparency of atmosphere. So this is itself includes the dry and the semi-arid areas and the high monsoonal states like Kerala. Number two we have discussed about is near to the equator, south versus north, you can say here. Near to the equator, south versus north. You can talk about altitude. You can also in general talk about the easy availability of land. Because these are all the arid areas, rain shed areas, land is abundantly available at a cheaper rate. It is not that we are consuming the land meant for the agricultures, right? And that we can convert for the utilization of our energy consumption. That is the potential which we are talking about here, right? Moving forward, and if you have given this data, see one important thing, when you wanted to know about the present status, always it is advisable for you to go to the government websites and try to understand. One such source is always the PIB source, which I have brought it forward for you. You can see Ministry of New and Renewable Energy year-end review of 2023. So we are in February 2023, 2024 now. So the last year which was ended, the last calendar year which was ended, PIB has given a year-end review of the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. You can clearly see that. See, look at the trends. India is the 4th globally in the renewable energy installed capacity, 5th in the solar power capacity as per the capacity. 5th we are also moving towards 4th. Some of the websites are saying 4th as well, but let us slowly go by the official data, right? Then you can see that India announces definition of green hydrogen, process initiated under National Green Hydrogen Mission. All these things are an indicator about what? The renewable energies in India. Now you can see here, in line with the Prime Minister's announcement at COP26 Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, we are achieving a target of 500 gigawatt non-fossil fuel-based energy by 2030. We have the Panchamrit that we can discuss. But when you talk about the data, let us come back to the thing of solar energy. Okay, you can see here. As of 30/11/2023, Ministry has approved 50 solar parks with an aggregate capacity of 37,490 megawatt. That is total around 37 gigawatt, you can say 70 gigawatt, 37 is here itself. So there are some kind of additional data. You can talk about solar pump sets under PM Kusum scheme. There is a rooftop energy which we are talking about, 741 megawatt capacity which is generated. All these things as giving you a data about the rising solar energy in India. Then also along with this, I would also try to, whenever you talk about energy, have a lump sum understanding about what is the total energy picture of India. So power ministry, power sector at a glance, right? So if you talk about that, government, you have a ready-made from the power ministry, you will have a very good understanding of the present installed capacity. Ministry of Power, you can see the total India's capacity is around 400 gigawatt, 4,17,668 megawatt. Total is around we have crossed 400, and you can see out of this 400, fossil fuels is 237, and the renewable energy, non-fossil fuel based energy, that is renewable energy including hydro, is 41% now, 1,73,000, out of which solar is around, you see, 67. So the data says 67, but as per the other data's government, it is 70. So roughly you can understand as of now, solar energy stands around 70 gigawatt. So what we are trying to tell you is the present capacity of 4,17,668 megawatt, we are talking in gigawatts, let us say 400 gigawatts. Okay, let us see the things. With this background, understand this, the present, we have around 400 gigawatt of energy, more than 400 itself. Let us say for easy calculation 400. We are almost having 225 to 175. This is fossil fuel. This is renewable. This is the present status. The target for India for 2030, the target for India 2030, are you there? Yes. Okay. You can see here the target, our total demand will be ranging around 100 to 1000 gigawatt, out of which We are assuming 50% of it should come from renewable energy. See, one of the things you need to understand, as India is progressing, as India is moving towards a development, towards a completely developed nation, as you see many people coming out of poverty, the general consumption of electricity is bound to increase. The demand will bound to increase. As the demand will increase, as industries will be coming up and all new industries will be coming up, you will see the general demand becomes very, very high. So naturally, from the present around 400 to 420 gigawatt of energy consumption which we are doing, we are expected to double it up in the next 7 years. So from 400 we are expecting to around 1000 gigawatt to 800 to 1000 gigawatt by around 2030. The target for India out of this 50% we are targeting it from renewable energy, and among the renewable energy, solar energy is trying to leapfrog it. There were days for so many years wind energy was the dominant one until 2020, 2021. Wind energy was the most important source of renewable energy back then. Now we have leapfrogged. We have leapfrogged to solar energy, right? So that is the thing. So you can see it as part of the Panchamrit, that is India's 5 targets at the COP26 in Glasgow. That is as part of the Paris Agreement. We have intended nationally determined contributions. India's contributions are these 5. The non-fossil fuel energy capacity of 500 gigawatt by 2030. Non-fossil, anything which is not based on the carbon, the coal, the petroleum and all such kind of things. The coal, the thermal power, non-fossil. Even hydropowers comes under non-fossil only, right? Fulfill 50% of energy requirements via renewable energy by 2030, right? 50%. So there is a target of non-fossil fuel energy capacity to be 500 gigawatt. Presently, you can see we are around 180 to 200 gigawatt. That we are trying to promote towards 500, right? Then there are other emissions as well, which are maybe not part of the discussion of this topic, but you can talk about these things. Reduce 1 billion carbon emissions, carbon intensity. India will achieve the target net zero. Even the reducing the carbon emissions, when you are generating electricity through solar energy, what will be the negative cost? What will be the emissions? Emissions would not be there much. So definitely even this target is also being achieved. Reduce the 1 billion carbon emissions, reduce the carbon intensity also we are trying to be happening. So all these are very, very simultaneously closely related with each other. That is what you need to understand. Then it is not like solar energy is not having any kinds of challenges. One such challenges we have is about the land need requirement, land need. To generate a certain amount of energy, we need more land. Okay, land energy ratio. How much land are we needed to generate around a certain unit of energy for solar energy is quite high. Land needed, because if you wanted to develop the solar photovoltaic cells and all, if you wanted to spread it and put it across the put it towards the sunlight, you need huge acres of land. So demand for land is high. So land acquisition cost will become, so land acquisition is higher. But always you have to see from the challenge how government is using this as a, how we are overcoming it, how we are using it as an opportunity. You have to see it from then. You have to accept the challenge. Once you accept the challenge, from a positive look set, if you try to bring solutions, we'll have an overcoming, we can overcome the challenge and we can have an opportunity. One such opportunity which we are trying to do is around, you are trying to use the areas of dry land. Okay, you are trying to use the areas like, to overcome this also, there is another sub target which you are doing, say we are trying to provide solar rooftops, right? We are trying to promote in the dry land areas. We are trying now, when you have a solar rooftops, now you take a city like a city state like Delhi, though it is part of a one union territory, it is almost a big city. So in big cities, you can actually promote solar rooftops like anything, which can actually energy, because the demand for land would be very, very high. The amount of land availability also would be lesser. You can have a focus with respect to solar rooftops. So each state, depending on its climate, depending on its needs, you can have it. Similarly, Kerala. Kerala is a monsoonal state. So the nature of how it can have solar power can be slightly different from how Rajasthan will be working about. So we can have decentralization systems, right? Say, for example, Gujarat. See, when the natural availability plus finance plus political will, if these three comes into the picture, there is no look behind. We need not look behind about such things. Everything will be moving forward. So that is the thing. Natural availability, natural favorability rather, then the finances which we are doing as part of India is doing, government is doing, as well as the support from the world as well. That is one. Financing of the projects, because climate change, we have to stop it. That is number two. That is why we are having finance in a decent way. And number three, definitely the political will of the government. If you have all these three together, we are going forward like anything. That is what we are trying to focus upon. So opportunity, challenge, we are moving forward. Then another challenge we have is finance, cost, and this is what just now I am trying to tell you. Cost is, we are trying to reduce it day after day significantly and such. That is there. And number three, which you also need to remember about this challenge, is the photovoltaic cells. We import a lot. So the process of generating electricity using the photovoltaic cells of solar energy, we are actually importing. This is one such challenge we have, which we are trying to change, right? So despite these challenges, the way forward is always towards renewable energy, towards making a life a better one rather than the present fossil fuel based energy. So the way forward always has to take into considerations of these challenges and try to overcome. So that is about a geographical perspective of solar energy. And one additional thing for you, you need to study about the solar energy feed from the economic point of view, from the environment point of view, right? There is a difference. Maybe environment, geography, you can try to club it together. But from the point of view of economy, government schemes, what kind of schemes which are there, be it the Kusum scheme, which is meant for the solar pump sets, such kind of things you have to focus specifically on that, right? This is about the solar perspective, a geographical perspective of solar energy in India. I hope you all have studied from this perspective. Hope any further information about this, you can always get into my Telegram channel. You can get and discuss with this, right? So the idea of a Telegram channel, as I told you, it is always meant for more communication, right? Then, thank you. We'll see you again tomorrow. Jai Hind.